It's just the struggles. It's the things you got to deal with, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't sacrifice clicky keys for clear audio any day of the week. Squishy keys are the worst.
They do feel really bad. Yeah, I agree. And I just use a keyboard that I got. A friend of mine gave it to me because I was on a laptop for a long time. And actually, I did have a keyboard, but it was like some kind of Apple keyboard, so it kind of worked, but it was not the best.
They're very small for some reason.
They're small, and the keys feel weird, and they got very dirty. It was not a great experience. But now, I have a real keyboard, a real gamer's keyboard that's super loud and obnoxious. But, it is what it is.
That's what gamers are at the end of the day.
Exactly.
The gamers of the internet.
We are gamers of the internet, which I think it's a great time to just jump in. So, hello, all gamers of the internet. Welcome to this creatively casual conversation, which is a series where I talk about art and talk about it with artists and about the art that inspires them to make more art. It's a concept that interests me a whole hell of a lot. And today we're doing something very special because art can be, anything, right? It's people usually think traditional art, paintings, that kind of stuff. But it can also be film, TV, writing books, or, in today's case, making video games. Because today, we have a very special guest, an actual, real indie developer who made an indie game, and it's out, available on Steam now. This game I'm playing right here, Flint. And here we have Roskycore with me, who's been talking a bit. So,
Hello.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, this is very exciting. I, of course, tried to be a game developer, and that didn't work. You actually succeeded.
Really?
Yeah, I went to school for 4 years to get a degree in game design, and I got it, but then the industry didn't pan out so well.
Oh, well, the game... I kind of lost faith in the professional game industry when I heard what happened to Telltale.
Oh.
Which is weird, because it's not the first time that happened.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, what specifically are you referring to?
Well, there was an incident with The Walking Dead, the season 2 with Clementine and whatnot, where I think after they finished, I believe it was the final season, they laid off half of the staff. Or maybe it was like halfway through the development. But I just heard about that and I was like, wow, you can make something really great, you can put a lot of heart into it, and then you get fired. And a lot of these cases, these employees don't get bonuses or anything. They're just there, like, for the hourly wage or maybe even a salary or something like that if they're lucky. And then they're just gone.
Yeah, it's really bad. I guess I would have gone into the job market right before that got really prolific. I think at that point, Telltale had still happened, because I was probably in high school when that happened, but after that, there's been so many more firings, like Microsoft famously shutting down so much.
Oh yeah, like, Hi-Fi Rush.
I believe. Like, it's crazy that can happen, but that's the world we live in. But when you're an indie developer, you don't have to deal with that. So, it's...
Well, there are some exceptions that I'll get into.
Oh, okay. That is good, because I obviously don't know everything, since I never was able to successfully get there.
I'll just start with this. Making the game is the easiest part.
Oh. And that's pretty hard. So what's not the easy part?
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to finishing a product, I think anyone can do it, really. I think, if you have burnout, you'll eventually get over it if you actually want to. If you're limited by your budget, then you can just, do it yourself to middling results. If you want to invest the money, it's really up to you, but it doesn't define whether or not the product is finished, because that's up to your standards, especially if you're an indie developer. The actual hardest part is getting it out to people and having other people like it. Because I can take a photo that I really think is pretty, but then I show it to someone else and they're like, oh, that's just a telephone pole.
Right, yeah, so, there's all the personal taste. So
yeah, with Flint specifically, and I'll get into the history of development with that, but I was very happy with what I made. And then I showed it to a friend and I was like, this looks like something I'd play on Newgrounds. And I was like, oh dear. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise that it sold poorly.
Right, and there's so many games just on the market, like
Yeah, exactly. It's
and
high competition.
absolutely, and you have to have good marketing, or just
Mhm.
like I think, yeah, even if it's like unpaid marketing, sometimes some big streamer will find something, and they'll promote
Yeah.
it, like
I think
what Fear and
I think that's what
Hunger.
happened to. Oh yeah, Fear and Hunger. I was gonna say Balatro.
Yeah,
I
Balatro
think
too.
I think that only happens if your product is like not just good but great. Because I don't
Yes.
consider Flint a like great game. I consider it like a stable 6 out of 10.
I would be, I guess, I would be perhaps a little more generous, but I mean, I think it is. Yeah, it is a very good iteration of what this is. But it's
But it's nothing special.
yeah, it's not the Fear and Hungers of the world. I mean, which is a stupidly high bar to compare yourself to, and it's not good for anybody. No one can expect
As
to
I
do that.
as I said, that's the sort of like when because you're judging it from like a perspective of one person made this for basically no money, and for what it is, it's pretty all right. But when you judge it to like a universal standard, that's where it gets kind of scary. And I think that's the biggest part about creative art and whatnot, is that you will have to eventually compare yourself to people much better than you if you want to put yourself out there on the market. Nobody's gonna, look at your stuff and take pity on you. And honestly, you should be insulted if they do.
Yeah, I think so. It just means they're not. Oh shit, they're not being as fair, as honest, I guess. And
They're not taking you seriously.
yeah, and that's not good either. So yeah, which I mean, obviously, I am playing Flint now, streaming to you just some background stuff if we want to get into it.
Well, given that I coded it with a bag of sticks and rocks, it's not exactly compatible with Discord, so I can't see it. But
Oh no! Oh,
I'm sure it's being recorded to OBS, so that's really all that matters.
yeah, the video is still being there. I might be able to. It might be a Discord
I
issue
made-
rather than.
I suspect Discord is the issue there. I mean, I made every pixel that game has, so I think I know what it looks like.
Yeah, I suspect. I mean, making everything by yourself, that's crazy. I don't think I could ever. Well, maybe if I made something really simple like Pac-Man 2, something on that level.
You'd
but
be surprised. Because then you have to do the pathfinding.
shit. Oh, okay, I just got myself killed. So okay, now. Let me see if I can fix the.
Oh yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, that's better.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, like with the streaming, normally I stream games that are inspiration, like some video game that is in some way related to the art that has been made. In this case, I just get to stream the art itself. That, of course, leaves the question: what inspirations were there for Flint? What other pieces of art did you take from to make this?
Well, there were a lot of inspirations all at once, really. I think if you're a Halo fan, and I think you are,
Yes.
you'll find that the invaders were based off of elites.
Yep, I can see
but-
it.
Yeah. So there were a lot of other inspirations as well. There was Flint and Hunger, there was Deltarune. Invincible was one of the inspirations. And you'll be surprised where they show up. I think, if you can guess, I'll give you a hint. You have to use a pickaxe to hit them.
Oh, is it the flowers or the like just to get the materials?
No. It was the slave. They were
Oh,
designed after the meta-humans from Invincible. So that was one of my biggest inspirations in combat design. The Hellbeast, surprisingly, just kind of came about of their own. They were originally called Beastmen, but I looked on a search engine and I found that was too similar to Warhammer. But I had conceived them before I saw that.
Right, yeah.
So there's some Half-Life in there, there's some Doom. The musical inspiration, surprisingly, there was no, I wasn't going for a specific vibe or anything like that.
Okay, and I think that kind of reflects, the different tracks they feel kind of like they come from a lot of different places, and nothing, in specific. There are some tracks that feel very classic Doom to me. Like that old school kind of like MIDI, heavy metal, I guess, but in, the low warfi way. And speaking of the music, my favorite track is absolutely I might get there in this recording session. The Binary is the name of the song. It's gosh darn it. Got myself killed again. It's the
Yeah, it's 0101
Yes.
1100. That's just like binary for S.
For S, okay.
Yeah, S for slave master.
That makes a lot of sense. That tracks. That piece of music, I don't know. To me, I love kind of like electronic and EDM. It's not really EDM at all. I don't know how to describe it. I'll play it now in the video as just some background. But it's very good, and we'll probably get to it later. If I remember the layout of this game, I think I'm relatively close.
Oh yeah, layout was one thing I was very concerned about. So that's why it sort of has that T-junction approach to it. Which, it's very bare bones, but unfortunately I was terrified that someone would like get lost and then be like, I can't finish this game.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair thing to be afraid of. It's a really difficult balance, and people come at video games with different skill sets and like different expectations, so yeah, I get that.
Unfortunately, there are no, unless it's Silent Hill, you're not going to have a lot of difficulty settings for level design.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. I guess you could like put in the lobotomy markers, but I don't. It's not really that kind of game.
That's fair. You said you were working on a game. Would you say it's more story-based or gameplay design-based?
The stuff I was working on, the furthest I ever got was a survival horror game, actually, and that was definitely more gameplay-focused. The story was kind of almost not even conceptualized. It was just, walking around a mansion. My game was going to be kind of a Metroidvania in a weird way, where you would pick up upgrades that would help you with combat, of course. Like, you would unlock the classic survival horror staples, like a quick turn, or like a red dot sight for aiming, but they would also allow you to like solve puzzles in a Metroidvania way, and that was actually cool. That is the kind of game I think would be so much fun to play, but I think never got around to finishing it because it's difficult.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of systems in play, especially starting out with a 3D game.
Yes,
that could be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing for me was actually saving. I never did figure out how to make saving work. Because I think the way you're supposed to do it is, like, writing to an external file, which I couldn't figure out how to do that. And there's, like, wow, I can't believe I killed myself again. And there's some... So I was using Unity and Bolt, which is their visual scripting software, which is very cool.
Yeah, and visual scripting is very nice.
And there's some methods to save with that, but I could never make it work quite right. And that is a big shame. And that's really the biggest reason why I stopped, because it just wasn't going to work.
Not to shove advice onto you, but I think there's still room for you to make that. Like, if you really want to gamble, I don't know how much of a gambling man you are, but you do play ZZZ, so maybe you are more than I expected. If you had, like, I don't know, maybe 2,000, 3,000 to spare, you could, like, hire someone to do development for you while you do game development. Because I think game development is definitely something you have a skill in, but it's just programming that and modeling that and making level design for that. It's just tedious grunt work that you maybe would rather just pay someone else to do.
Some of it. I mean, probably just like, I kind of liked all the aspects of it, in school. I was just not as good at some of it. My favorite thing, actually, I don't know if you would do this in 2D game, but UV unwrapping. Where that I love.
Can be done.
I loved UV unwrapping, and that's an aspect people absolutely hate, which is very amusing to me. I just thought it was so much fun to, like, it's like solving a puzzle almost.
Yeah, but not everyone wants to do a puzzle when they're just trying to finish something.
Yeah.
But I get why you'd like it.
Yeah, a lot of people are more art-focused, and I liked the 3D modeling stuff as well. Like, it was all good. I just wish I could have got a job somewhere. But I'm doing other stuff now instead, and, like, it's fine. It is what it is.
Well, that's perfectly fair. I mean, with how radioactive the gaming industry can be at times, I'm glad you still have some hope for the industry at all, really.
I have mostly hope for indies, especially in light of more recent events. Like Microsoft is now, I think, they've hired like an AI person to be head of Xbox, and
Oh yeah, Xbox is doomed. As I mentioned, I really like Halo, so it's pretty sad to me that Halo is going to hell in a handbasket.
yeah, that sucks. I mean, ever since it left Bungie, it just hasn't been the same.
It hasn't been the same, but I don't know. I liked Halo 4, but that was the last one I there hasn't been a Halo that didn't have mixed feelings since Halo, I want to say 3?
Interesting. Yeah, for me, Reach is my
Reach gets a
favorite.
lot of flack.
Does it? I think a lot of people say that's the best one, but maybe we just walk in different circles.
Yeah, that's fair. There's something called the Halo cycle, where once a Halo gets released, it gets like bashed to hell and back, and then the previous one is like they say, "Oh, this was so much better," and then they're afraid of the new one because when Halo 5 came out, a whole bunch of Halo 4 fans came running out of the woodworks.
Yeah, well, Halo 4 was definitely better than 5, from what I understand. I actually never played 5.
Spartan Assault was better than 5.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Halo has been... I'm going to say something really controversial right here. I'm okay with Halo becoming a book series.
I mean, it was a book series from almost the jump, wasn't it?
No, I think First Strike was like an adaptation of the first video game.
Right.
Not First Strike, The Flood. But people get so mad when they hear something like, oh, the Halo Infinite story is being continued in Edge of Dawn. And you see a lot of comments down there like, oh, this could have been a DLC. What is Microsoft doing? And I've been reading through Edge of Dawn. It's really good.
Yeah, I read those old, the Fall of Reach, First Strike, The Flood. I read those books when I was younger, and I liked them a lot. Also, Contact Harvest, though I think that probably came a little bit later. But I think they've always been written quite well, and I've heard that, when people were kind of not into the Halo 4 changes as much, they said that the books were still really good in that era.
See, that's very good. Reading is sort of it's fading away, but there's still talented artists who are still writing, and still people who are interested in that kind of thing. I don't think books will ever replicate. I don't think movies, video games, or anything will replicate what books have.
Yeah, it's a different medium for sure.
Yeah, I think the strength of it is instead of just telling you what you're supposed to see, it's more of a guide. So you don't have to worry about like animation quality or like responsive controls or anything like that. You just step into the world and there you are. So I think that's something that can't be replicated, not even in VR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the imagination aspect it's a lot stronger.
Especially when it's up to you, yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're going on maybe a bit of a tangent, but that's all right. There are no tangents actually. Just about
casual conversation.
Exactly, games industry stuff. So yeah, and I guess we've already talked about you were a solo dev on this almost essentially. Did you get any outside help, anything at all, or is it everything was just your hands?
I got some advice. So back during, you get a lot of advice and words like that. But if you're asking about directly, then no other person touched the code. No other person made any of the other assets. Not a single note or line of dialogue was made by someone else's hands. Not even a letter. I took suggestions from so Flint's been in development, I think, if I told you or not, but since 2020.
That is a long time.
And that might surprise you, and it's because Flint had a very troubled development cycle. It first started as an RTS. My friend, I think his name is Quentin from Canada, he was like, hey, I want to make this r/place mega server, and then you could go around and it'd be like a whole world thing. And I was like, okay, so you want a flat tile base, something like that. So I started with Flint. And then he took me aside and he said, wait a second, what are we doing here? I was like, I'm making the RTS, and it wasn't an RTS. He wanted like a Minecraft thing.
That's a different genre.
Yeah, basically. So I was like, oh, well, I guess we'll change it into something more akin. So the game was already tile-based and top-down. By the time I had fiddled with all the code and, you know, landscapes and things like that. So I decided to salvage what I had. And then we sort of got into, like, things just evolved on their own. Newfie stepped away from the project. Not to imply he was ever a really big part of it. Mm-hmm. He more just told me what to make. Told me that, oh, it'd be cool if this game existed. And I was like, okay, I'll make that.
Yeah.
And then I screwed it up. So after that point, after I added, you know, the player character there, who at the time we called Lenny, the game was sort of an open world Terraria clone, where you would go down, you would harvest resources, and then you would go down sequential cave steps. And after that point, you would unlock more and more, you know, equipment and stuff, and then you'd fight bosses. And that build still exists. Like, it's a real thing. But unfortunately, it was not good. You know, everyone who played it got bored of it pretty quickly. Because, well, first of all, crafting, they didn't really... And second of all, there was no real reason to do anything. There was no story, there was no, like, interesting characters. And one, you know, my friend George, at the time, he was my friend, he said something along the lines of, I don't really care about what's going on here. I don't see why I should go down these levels. And, you know, I was sort of approaching it with a fear and hunger style, like, oh, you'll just want to figure out the mystery. And it was at that time that I realized that that people don't really care about the mystery if they don't know there is a mystery.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, after that point, I think it was about 3 years into development that I looked at it and I was like, there's no story here. And there were bosses, there were enemies, there were even journals. I mean, there's still like file entries about the invaders and Hellbeast being like 300 centimeters tall inside the files right now, but they're inaccessible, of course. So I went back to the drawing board and I said, okay, let's try to turn this game into more of a focused story, and how do I do that? And so I took a lot of things out. Surprisingly, I didn't take all that much out. So one thing I've been pondering with is the existence of the Knight, and that's the Raphael guy.
Okay.
And so the entire story of Flint, as it is now, revolves around the question, why is Raphael there? So everything, from like every single character, every interaction, is answering to that specific question. Of course, Ubel was also, you know, in the thing, but he was a less important character at the time. He was more just like the generic bad guy that you fight at the end, and he was all roughened up. He was originally called Bose. The reason why he's changed is because there was a grammatical error there, and in German, Bose is to the word evil what evilly is to the English language.
Oh.
So it was like an adjective.
Okay.
So if you translated it, you get an adverb instead of a noun, and I was like, oh dear. So we changed it to Ubel, which is coincidentally the name of a Furin character, so that's fun.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, I think this was this pre-free run, definitely in development, at least pre-anime, maybe not pre-manga, but.
Well, again, that character was obviously named because Ubel is the name for evil. So I was like, I wanted a pure evil character that wasn't redeemable, so I went with that name. So I think it's just convergent evolution, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. That happened.
So back to that
makes a lot of sense.
So back to that whole question about Raphael. I was like, how does Raphael relate to this? So I gave him a name, which is obviously Raphael. And that's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference, because he was my favorite turtle.
Awesome. That's very cool.
I spelled it a bit differently, not for copyright reasons, but just because I...
Yeah, like your own flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun to spell it with an F instead of a PH, which surprisingly gave it sort of a Spanish texture. So I guess he's Spain coded now,
Okay.
which is it's always fun.
Yeah.
So after that point, I was like, okay, who does he belong to? And so I made a group, called it the Knights Guard, and I was like, okay, how does the main character relate to that? And why? And then I needed to add some extra characters, and everything just fell into place around, Hammeroff and the Knights people and all that. So you sort of see that connection start there. So I made the story, and within about a couple of months, I had it down pat. And after that, it was like, okay, so you're the Stoneborn. And I made a decision. I don't know if you particularly care about the plot twist. Spoilers, skip it for the viewer, I guess. Not that anyone is gonna play this, but like, okay, so you know about the twist, right?
I might have just remind me in case I don't remember exactly what went on.
So your character, the Stoneborn, is like dead, and it's explained to you by Halifax and whatnot. So what I wanted originally, I was just gonna tell you, have the blue coated character Myrnan. He was just gonna say, "Oh, you died," like at the very start of the game, and I was like, I feel like we can do more with that.
Yeah.
So I added the twist. I wanted to bring some internal conflict to the story. So how did you feel about that? I can tell you maybe forgotten, so maybe it didn't stick with you, but how did you feel about that story beat?
The thing that I think I remember, maybe I'm misattributing different memories, but I feel like I remember there being more nuance in the characters, which I just thought was kind of interesting. I guess you said Ubil was supposed to be all pure evil, and I don't know. I think my memory of that was that there was more to it than that.
Oh yeah, I more meant like Ubil is an evil person. Like, this is like word of the author here. He's an evil person who may have interesting intentions of like trying to stop peace and trying to stop war forever, but his methods are definitely bad and selfish.
Yes,
to
exactly.
To the point where he himself is evil, but maybe his goals not so much. Because your main character even questions, the big king at the end. Is like, maybe we don't have to do things like this.
Exactly. Yeah, it was almost like kind of Thanos-y in a way, of just like, okay, I get what you're coming from, but you're going about it in the wrong way. And that for me was my biggest takeaway. And I like stories like that. I like nuance in character writing.
And I think there's a bigger nuance to having someone like just straight up be evil. Because I watch a lot of cartoons where the evil character is revealed to actually have a sad backstory. And then, 15 or 20 episodes later, they're like the sweetest person you've ever met. And I was like, that's nice, but this guy's still evil.
Yeah.
Like, he still flattened the planet. He's still, like, it's implied that he, like, SA'd somebody. I don't know if you caught up on that.
I might have missed it. That's not great.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. He deserves to die. Speaking of characters that deserve to die, since you're here in the Underkingdom, there's a specific plot beat. Do you remember it?
From the Underkingdom? No. Well, maybe I will when you tell me exactly what you mean.
Okay, so the Noctcrap. He's the evil
bird. Okay.
Yeah. So after your fight with him, you have the option to spare him. Did you take that or no?
I think I did. That sounds like something I would do, even though I don't remember necessarily. I think I did that.
Okay.
Or wait.
I made a miss.
Maybe I did.
Oh.
Did he ask you? Was the conversation like he asked you to kill him? Was that how that conversation went?
Yeah, that's how that conversation went.
I think I did kill him then.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think that's what ended up happening.
So, what you get is the option to say no to that, and you can just leave. And after that point, you can come back every time you beat a boss and, like, ask him his opinion. And after you beat the boss before the well, which is Halifax, and you, like, get your access to the campfire back, you can come to him and say, "Hey, will you join us?" And he'll be like, "Fine, I guess." Tsundere noises, and then he'll appear at Seidlung, and you can like talk to him after you beat up Ubel. So I thought that was a nice little thing you could do, and he'll like soften up to you.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm usually the person who wants to, pick the quote-unquote good option. I guess I can look at my footage and see what I did. But I think the way the conversation went, I was under at least to me, it felt like, well, this is probably good for this guy. The bird this is like the honorable exit, I suppose. So, unless
there's no there's no right answer there.
Yeah.
I mean, he did try to kill you.
Exactly. And yeah. And I think that's good. That it's hard to know what is the right choice. Like, that's a sign of good writing, which is very impressive for one person to do all of that. It's crazy.
I'll be honest, I'm a writer first and a developer second.
Oh, okay. Right. You even told me you're writing a book. That's good.
Yes. Yeah. So the book is essentially this, but there are going to be some strong differences, but not too much to the point where, like, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with overwriting the game because, well, there isn't much of a fan base there to upset. But generally speaking, I would like to write the entire story, but from a novelist perspective, which I think will allow it to breathe more. And whether or not it's successful, I've learned to not care. I just want to write the story because I want to see it exist.
Yeah, I understand that so much. I get that.
You pay a lot of attention to writing and stories. I, saw this in your signs video.
Yeah, 100%.
Have you ever thought about writing a book or any short stories? Even fan fiction counts.
It's definitely something I've considered. When I was younger, especially, I really wanted to write. I mean, I was just inspired by all kinds of different weird, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like interconnected stories of a bunch of different characters kind of coming together was something I thought was cool at that age.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and even now I still think about, what is this an idea is this a nugget of a story that it could be written? And maybe it's in my future one day is actually writing something. Though, and I did try. I remember I definitely started writing various books, various stories. I always struggled with making it feel like things are taking enough time, I guess. Like, I just almost wanted to write down bullet points of, like, plot and feelings. And all the connective tissue I was a lot worse at. If that makes any kind of sense.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, connecting stories together is always fun. Was it more like a Marvel crossover, like, universe thing, or just, these people happen to exist in the same world?
More like that, yeah. Like different factions, all vying for, not vying for power, just different groups of people with different goals that happen to overlap to fight a common foe, essentially.
Okay, that's fair. I like stories like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like a collection of people in interesting situations. Instead of rather just set piece dressing.
Mm-hmm.
During your playthrough of Flint, what stuck out to you, like, besides the whole, like, lock-on issue, what stuck out to you most, like, negative or positive?
I think the game ended up being, I think, like, first impressions were a little bit less, like, impressive, I think. When there was only the invader enemies, like, they were just like palette swaps. I remember initially writing a note of, like, the enemies are just they're just palette swaps. They're not especially interesting. I wish there was more to it. But then as I got further and more enemy types were unlocked, like, I'm fighting so many different things and they all have different mechanics. And then I realized, oh wait, there's actually a lot more here than I thought there was initially. It was just, a slow start to ease you in. It's actually very impressive what you managed to do. And the palette swaps, yeah, they're palette swaps, but they're mechanically unique.
Oh yeah, they used to not be in that version of Flint I was talking about earlier with the like Terraria. They were originally not. They were just stronger versions of each other. And I was like, that's so boring. So I gave them different abilities. Like the Soldier Invader has a spin dash, the Elite Invader has like a projectile attack, and the Priest Invader is like a cover denial kind of character.
Yeah, and that I think that whole thing of like I said something about how it comes together in my review video, but
Oh yeah, I appreciated that part.
yeah, it feels like it's like a delicate dance almost of like trying to manage different, like I said, like area denial versus range attacks versus melee threats, and trying to not be overwhelmed in like what is your priority, what do you focus on to not just die.
For me, when I was balancing enemies, I wanted to do the Doom thing of like one enemy is good at one thing specifically. Because, and I'm talking about Doom 2016, not 93, is that imps will like scatter around and they'll try to overwhelm you. The Hell Knights will like pressure you, but they won't like, they're not very effective at range. But if you get too close, they're kind of scary. And I was like, okay, we need an enemy to do one thing very well, and not like one attack move, but like one general theme. So for Hellbeast, I was like, okay, these are enemies that put pressure on you. You have to kill them very quickly, or else. I considered adding a regeneration thing, but then I realized you probably wouldn't be fighting them long enough for that to matter, and if it did matter, it would get annoying. So,
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, like the high concept, the way that stuff is designed is really really good. I mean, it's not necessarily perfectly like polished, but it's very impressive that you were able to like, and the fact that you thought of that is like this is what the design should be. I think that is a mark of definite actual like knowledge and talent and understanding of what makes something interesting and fun.
I mean, I was interested in the story, but I realized that the gameplay could be told through that story, and I wanted it to be fun at least. So,
Yeah, I mean, no one
I
seeks,
basically went
yeah.
by the book, essentially. You mentioned a good point there earlier about how palette swaps and whatnot. So earlier you said, did I have any help? And I did say that I had feedback. One of the most pivotal points of feedback that I got was that the movement felt sluggish at first. Originally, it was a lot more like Dark Souls, where when you swing your sword, stamina goes down, and any movement regarding stamina makes it go down. So, originally I was like, okay, this is how Dark Souls did it, so that's fine. Then my friend said, this is horrible. Don't do this.
Right.
And I immediately went, okay, how do we change this? So I made it so that weapons don't take up stamina. I was like, wow, this flows a lot better. But now what do we do with stamina? Is it just for running? And then I was, like, okay, maybe we'll just make it like a quick burst of dash. And then I made it so that the parry also takes up all of your stamina. So I was like, okay, let's do like a binary thing. Like you either choose to parry or dodge. So it's a fun thing about how game design sort of evolves into itself. I've always loved that chisel quote.
Oh, which one specifically?
Oh, I think it was made by Socrates or something. Is like, I look at the marble block, and I see the statue is already within it. I just have to chisel it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think with all my creative works, I've seen something like that. Whether it be music or drawing or whatever, I've just sort of been guided by everything else to the finish line.
And like having you tell me about like the long development process and how different things were from start to end, that's crazy. And that I think is actually very common. Like a lot of big studio games are the same way, where things change so much, and for that to also happen with indie stuff, it sounds real, professional. And
I think the problem is a lack of focus. Because again, when I made Flint, it was an RTS.
Yeah.
It was made to be an RTS, and then I changed it mid-development, and that's why the game's I think if you told me, like, if I never made Flint and you told me, let's make a game about an undead warrior going to fight the great evil person, I probably would have made a Metrovania, really. I would not have gone with this like beat 'em up sort of top down game.
Yeah. And like to that end, like it is almost like a lost genre what Flint ended up being, of like a story driven like adventure almost, without usually that kind of thing would be a Metroidvania now, or a Souls like, I guess. But this is kind of its own thing, and it feels like those
suffered for it.
Well, maybe I suppose yeah, maybe gamers don't gel with that as much anymore, which is fair, but it gives it a unique flavor.
If I can say anything to any blossoming game developer listening to this, it's do not do what you're doing in isolation. But I saw an interesting video the other day, and I think it was Man Carrying Things, and he was talking about this one tweet that went popular, and it was that writers should also be readers. And there were a lot of people going on and on about, well, I don't write. I mean, I write, but I don't read. I'm so good at writing. And then they post a little paragraph of something.
That sounds terrible. You have to read to be a good writer.
Exactly. And some people will they like to differentiate themselves by how much they don't read, because they think that, if that they're diluting their craft. I think that's I used to think that, and that's why Flint turned out the way it is. So do not learn from my mistakes, please.
Yeah, and engage with other things that are popular and successful, and learn. You can learn from stuff that's good. That's
most people get the idea that if they train, it'll make what they're trying to do less raw. I think it really just trains you to believe what works and what doesn't, so that you can apply exactly what you want from that for yourself.
Yeah, I think so. And there is something to be said for believing that going against the grain will result in a better product. But that doesn't mean you should discount what's established just outright.
I think that has to be done with method, not just because you want to be special.
Yeah.
I think far too many creatives aren't actually creatives, they just want to be special.
I think there's probably some truth to that. There's some ego involved, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to make a game, or oh, I want to write a book. And then, you ask them, oh, who's your favorite author? What's your favorite game? And they don't really point to why, just point to, oh, I enjoyed that and it was successful. Or they won't even name a favorite author or anything. So, I don't know. They just want to make a thing and have a thing.
Yeah,
You could have bumped that up by one more.
What did I end it on? Oh my god. All right, yeah, sure. Here we go for the memes. 6, 7. Let's go. The perfect volume. Amazing.
This is the most unprofessional I've ever been in my career.
The Zoomers are infecting us. It's fine. I'm a Zoomer too. Whatever.
I consider myself a Zoomer.
It's true.
So it's very, I guess alarming. Not alarming in a bad way, but it's wow, I'm getting old. Because I turned 24 just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so you're more of a Zoomer than I am. Then I'm on the cusp. I'm almost millennial, 27.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were on the younger side.
I wish I was. I feel like I got one foot in the grave. It's so bad.
Don't drink wine. You'll wake up with the worst back issues, so I hear.
Oh, that's a bummer. I like wine. Wine tastes like Kool-Aid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I never got much into alcohol, and that was before I was committed to not drinking it. And that's mostly because alcohol itself has a really bitter taste to it. A really sharp and distinctive taste to it that apparently you get used to it and then it tastes really good.
Yeah, I've gotten used to it more so. I don't think it tastes good still, but I mean...
oh god, you got something against Kool-Aid?
No, I love Kool-Aid, but just raw alcohol is not good. And it can be so bad. I did $1 tequila shot at a bar, I think on New Year's, and that was maybe the worst experience of my life. It was so bad. It felt like my throat was on fire after that, and it tasted
Oh, God.
awful. God, yeah.
That is not the girls' night out kind of tequila.
I know! It was such a bummer. I wish it could have been good. It was, yeah, that was bad. That was very, very bad. And tequila, yeah, like, that is probably the drink that matters the most, like, for how much you spend on it. Like, bad tequila is bad. So...
I can tell by the rancid taste. I mean, it feels like you want to slather your tongue with your palms right now.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, don't do that. Don't drink bad tequila. Drink good tequila.
Exactly.
Or, you know, you can not drink at all. That's fine. People don't have to drink. There's other things you can do socially.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be a snob about it, because I think other people try to run other people's lives. But I think it's a slippery slope. Because if you have someone run their life, someone else is going to run your life. You don't want that. Basically, for this section, if I may get into lore...
Yeah, go for it.
I could have just made this a switch. But I was like, I kind of want you to have some context about who this character is. So, I think you remember this is Miranda.
I think I recall. Fight them later on, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, what were your... I guess, what are your thoughts about the minor antagonists?
Let me think. So there's obviously the knight, right? Raphael, who's cool. Yeah. He has an awesome boss fight that was really, really cool, just because of the music aspect. A lot of... Mostly I remember the boss fights themselves and less about the characters. I think I said this in my video. Without voice acting, it's very hard for me to, like, follow what's going on. I think it's because I'm a dumb idiot baby or something.
Wow, I don't think it's anything like that. I had someone else who I commissioned to make a review canceled, and then gave me a dissertation about why they just couldn't finish it. And one of the notes was, God, they talk a lot.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so I think it's a lot of overwhelming text, and it's like, okay, I have no reason to want to care about this.
I suppose,
but it's there.
I don't think there's that much text. I don't feel like it's more than I would expect, if that makes any sense.
That's fair. I sort of developed my conversation model after Disco Elysium.
Okay, that's a game I'm yet to play, but I've heard so many good things.
Yeah, that's why the conversation bar is off to the right instead of, you know,
on
like
the
traditional
bottom.
Visual novels. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I think if you were to ask me who my favorite minor antagonist is, I mean, besides Raphael, I'd probably go with Halifax. He's a barrel of laughs.
Oh, is that the mob boss?
Mob? I'm not sure, but I think it's the Hellbeast boss.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Oh, no, yeah. I'm sorry, yes. I'm thinking of two different bosses, because there's the one who is, like, he has the Tommy gun, who has a different name, and then Halifax, who you're talking about, who punches you really hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
At that moment, I was so excited to write his scene, because it's probably, like, the second most important scene in the game. It's the one where he reveals, you died!
Yeah, that's a big shock.
Yeah. Besides that, I think he'll be expanded much more in the novel. But besides that, because, oh god, that brings me to a thought. And it's like, it reminds me of this quote I read about editing. When you edit something, and it's fresh in your eyes, what you're really editing is what you see, really, is what you meant rather than what you wrote. And I think that has poisoned a lot of the narrative potential of this video game in a way that I hope not to repeat in the novel.
Are there any, like, very specific examples you can think of?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Raphael, if you know the context, is like a really, really sad character. But the context is kind of lost on you if you're not, like, I guess, if you're not, like, aware. So I'll give you the basic rundown. Raphael is like captain of the Knights Guard. He was the superhero. He's basically Master Chief. And then he died fighting Ubel. And that was, when the last war happened and all the terrible things went awry. So then they brought him back, but they kind of screwed it up. And now he's got like super schizophrenia.
Yeah, I could tell.
So he's not even himself really. And then he goes back to fight Ubel, and he gets his butt kicked in such a way that has, everyone else come to save him. And then a bunch of other people get killed. Like Guilherme gets, paralyzed. Miranda gets killed. And then, they lose the war right then and there. And Ubel is so happy about it, he just lets them go. And that's how you get Seilung, that little community with the fireplace.
Okay, yeah. That all
So-
tracks.
With that in mind, you're like, oh my gosh, he's such a tragic character. And then, when he dies, you're all sad about it. But if you don't have that context, he's just a guy in armor who you kill.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's like, for me, it's a big thing, but for someone else, it's not. So I think a lot of creatives have to be careful not to get too much into their own head about how much the viewer is expected to know.
Yeah, I mean, and to that end, there's been so many games I can think of where, like, at the start, things, like even ZZZ, a game I really like, at the beginning of that game, the story, while it's good, a lot of context is lost, because you just don't really know what's going on, or why you should care necessarily. So yeah, I get it. Even in big games, it can be a hard thing to get right.
I know Elden Ring and, Souls Gaming specifically, I heard it compared to like a barrage of sticky notes.
Yeah, it's a sticky note game. As I realized after playing the game Code Vein that I don't like Miyazaki's storytelling in those games.
Oh god.
It's like Code Vein is a game that is a lot more of a traditional narrative with characters that you follow through events.
Yeah, it has cutscenes.
Yeah, it's got real cutscenes with people talking about things, and Elden Ring doesn't. There's just cutscenes for aura farming, which is cool, but
Yeah.
I'm not into it.
The average Dark Souls character, and I'm not trying to dunk on them, it will just sort of pose menacingly and say, "The darkness
Yeah.
consumes all."
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Tarnished?
Yeah.
And then you'll have like a 30-minute video about like
Yeah.
the turnip of Orendale.
Yeah, it's like, why
It's
this
like-
is the
and
most important turnip in all of the universe. And you're like, bro, what? What do you mean? If it's so
I
important.
read from an item description of a sock that the people of Turnip used to do really good at taxes. That means this guy must be the tax collector. So it's like, if it were not Miyazaki, I don't think people would pay any mind to this nonsense.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, some of the games that, that studio makes do have really good stories. Armored Core, I think, is a great story, and that game doesn't even have human models. It's all robots. And
Exactly.
Sekiro, I think, also actually has a good story, because you get
Well, that's
to...
because it has a protagonist.
Yeah, as a protagonist, and you get to see the world changing. Like, so many of the other Souls games are like, the important shit happened like 1,000 years ago. But in Sekiro, you're living through the important shit, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Speaking of that, in Flint, the original narrative, it was actually supposed to be like way, way after things have gone to shit. Like, okay, so let me give you a rundown for the original Flint plot, and this is going to sound batty to you. So basically, in modern day America, not America, but just the whole world, a bunch of tentacle aliens came, and they were called the Collectors. And then they swooped up all the humans into like a giant flesh sack and stored it deep within the Earth's crust. And then some random guy from like, I don't know, the 1700s, was transported from like a time portal millions of years into the future at some random island where you would then penetrate down into the deepest cores of the earth and fight who was at the time named Bose. Oh yeah, they stop attacking if you whack them.
I should be more aggressive. I gotta learn.
Yeah. No problem there. I don't think I telegraphed that properly.
I mean, I would know if I just was more, in their face, fucking beating them up.
Yeah.
But
That's fair. but after, so your hero was meant to like come in and beat Bose, and then free everyone from the sack. So that was not very. It was very Dune,
Yeah.
as in it didn't
okay.
make any sense. Was very confusing and nonsensical. So we drafted that plot for something a little more realistic. Instead of 1,000,000 years, it's just 10.
I think that helps a lot. I think that was a good decision.
Because at that point, everyone relevant would be dead. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's fair. Um, I think this was the funniest part of Flint, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like just the random Solid Snake, and I appreciate that the box is not perfectly symmetrical. You can see which way you're facing with the little caddy corner.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good choice.
I don't know what caused me to make that, but I was like, hey, maybe this section of the game should be about more than just fighting robots.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the laser puzzles came in.
Yeah, and
speaking of Metal Gear Solid, this is a big Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, the
right
microwave hall. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's another inspiration, I guess, even if it's just as a little bit of a goof. It wasn't lost on me. I definitely recognized that when I saw it.
That's good. So you would consider yourself like a big Kojima fan. Have you tried Death Stranding 2?
No, I haven't. I actually am not as much of a fan as I should be. I haven't played any of his games, actually, but I have definitely watched some videos. I've been meaning to play... Well, if I have time, I want to buy the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, so I can actually experience that game. But I haven't gotten around to it.
The remake is very faithful. Some would say too much, which I think is ridiculous.
I mean, you might as well keep it the same.
Yeah. I think if you change too much... I think there's a fine balance between remakes, where... Especially when you get into, like, blind nostalgia. Oh, that reminds me. Are you into Dragon Ball at all?
I love the Dragon Ball Z abridged series on YouTube.
I love that, too. It's so good.
But no, when it comes to actual Dragon Ball, I tried to watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, the real official abridged version, and I couldn't get into it. It was still too slow for me. I love the idea of Dragon Ball, but...
Yeah, that's fair. I'd say you're a Dragon Ball fan if you've watched abridged, but I will say you've watched Dragon Ball. So it's like a weird middle ground there. But I was going to say, because I was getting on a tangent about nostalgia, is that... So there were these fighting games called Budokai 1 and Budokai 3.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them, yeah.
And they're beloved. Everyone loves the Budokai games. Specifically not the Tenkaichi ones, just the Budokai. And I tried to play Budokai 3, and I was like, God, this is awful.
Is that the one that just came out, or is that one of the older, like, PS2 ones?
Oh no, that's one of the two PS2 ones.
Okay.
You'll have people talking up and down about how good this game is. But during the fighting part, and I will die on this hill, there's this thing where you can get knocked down, and then it'll start like a random ratio, where you have to press a button, and then the CPU presses another button, and if you get the same button, then you can defend, and if they don't, then they progress in stages. And I always thought, holy moly, this is not fun. This is very boring, and it's a long, drawn-out cutscene of your character just getting whacked. And you have to hope to King Kai that that you get the right button. And the other fighter will spam it so often that it just takes completely the fun out of the game. Like any fun you would have is like counteracted by the, oh god, they're gonna do a dragon rush any second now.
Oh, that sucks. It's always so disappointing when a game ends up bad like that.
Exactly. And you'll have so many people in comment section saying, oh god, I really loved Budokai 3. I'm like, I don't get that.
Yeah, I definitely played one of the Budokai games like a very young child. One of my cousins had a PS2 and I played some, and I liked it a lot. Even though I didn't have any context for Dragon Ball, I just thought the character designs were cool, and I like to punch things.
Yeah, that's one thing Akira's always been good at. God rest his soul.
Yeah, it's true. His designs are super iconic. Yeah, like speaking of anime, for the thumbnail for this video, I have you requested specifically that you be represented as a character from Fooly Cooly, which is an anime I've not seen before. But I really want to know why specifically this character. What about it? Why did you want to be represented by this one?
Uh, well, it comes down to one. I don't have an OC yet. I was hoping I would get the money to make my own VTuber model one day. I actually have like a whole concept for that whole thing. But actually, since I don't, I guess I just represent myself by my favorite character, and that's this girl. And so I'm gonna like get a picture of her so I have a frame of reference. But yeah, Haruko Haruhana, she's like this manic pixie dream girl. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that
Yep.
trope. Probably are.
I'm very familiar.
Oh, were you a Ramona Flowers lover of any kind?
I didn't see Scott Pilgrim until quite a bit older, but I definitely was into her. At least in that one movie.
Okay. So she comes in and she's like, and I will preface, but I watched this show when I was like 11. I was very young when I watched the show, and I just found it on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this looks fun. And all of a sudden, it's got this coming of age story about this kid like being sort of, but not really taken in by this older magic wizardry girl. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is ballin'. I like her. And as I grew up, I started to ken the kid less and ken the girl more. So she's fun. She's wild. She's like very hyper, and she's unpredictable. She just like cares about having fun and getting her way. She's kind of like Revy, but without all the childhood trauma.
Okay, that is a character, if I'm not mistaken, from Black Lagoon. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Funny thing you mentioned in your review is you wanted the weapons to be a separate item, and I don't disagree with that. I think they should not be in the same place as like swords and whatnot in the same place. But actually, my inspiration for making them kind of at the same level as swords was just actually came from Silent Hill.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see how that would happen. Exactly.
But what was your main reason for wanting to like separate them?
I think because I thought they served kind of different purposes, where like the melee weapons were your main weapons, and then these were like super weapons in a way.
Yeah, that's fair. It was more not specifically super weapons, but they had like a very specific purpose to them. Like they couldn't just win a fight. I mean, they could, but that would be a waste. The grenade launcher specifically for metal targets, and honestly, the shotgun was just an anti-Hellbeast thing.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should be using that more against the Hell. Oh, fuck! I forgot about this thing. I got his number. Yeah. I do get that. Speaking of which, I should maybe use some weapons since I have them. I think I got like 6 grenades.
Yeah. So that was partly the inspiration there of like just sort of a dedicated win button. Because in Doom Eternal, you're not actually supposed to use the sword all willy-nilly. I heard Civi, I don't know if you watch him, he said that the sword is basically an anti-Archvile. And I was really inspired by that, so I was like, okay, I should have a dedicated weapon to specifically one enemy. I was like, okay, what's the scariest enemy that you can face normally? I was like, okay, that's the Hellbeast. So I was like, okay, this is the anti-Hellbeast thing. And you find ammo around if you're looking carefully enough.
Yeah.
And so if you prepare, you can just dump this into one enemy that has a lot of health. And that's usually a Hellbeast. Whenever I do a Flint run, I usually save them for Ubel, though.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, might as well use them at... If you don't use them at the final boss, what do you use them for,
Oh, another inspiration since we're on that point. I did say Halo Halo was a lot of inspirations for a lot of things. But the biggest inspiration for me that's like tangibly visible is the ending. There's kind of like a run moment there.
Yeah. Okay. That that tracks. I definitely see it. I think for me, I was thinking more Metroid.
Oh yeah, that's totally fair because it's a side scroller, right?
Yeah.
Well, not like real side scroller, fake side scroller. Yeah, I don't know what I'd call it.
But
Flint is a mix between a beat 'em up and a Zelda game, and not a Zelda game, and I don't really know how to talk about it like that.
It's unique. I think action adventure, I guess, is maybe the best way to describe it. Narrative focused action adventure.
Did you have any more questions about the story or development or anything like that?
Let me see. That is a good question. I think I actually hit the stuff. Okay, no, actually there is one more we didn't really touch on. But what was your workflow like for making the game? Like, what did you focus on? I suppose in general, first what comes to mind when I say that.
Well, it depends on if you're talking about because I like to separate Flint into two states. That old version with like the resource management and the crafting stuff, that I call old Flint, and sort of what you're playing now is just regular Flint. So I'll answer both since I don't want to be like, oh, ask this instead. For old Flint, I just sort of made it on my off time because it was fun. I liked figuring out stuff and getting better acquainted with systems, and eventually I'd come to a finish line and I'd be like, okay, hey all my friends, try this new version, and maybe they would or won't. But usually I got some feedback like, oh hey, this is broken, or how do I do this? Things like that.
Right. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. And yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know definitely. Bugs will happen so much when you're developing a game, and you will not always catch them all. So, yeah, getting people to play that, I get that, makes it much better.
Yeah. So, New Flint was different. At some point after my old roommate moved out, I was like, okay, I finally have time to work on this project. And I'll say something kind of cynical and mean. I didn't really care about Flint as a game at that point. I just wanted it done. Because anytime I try to start a new project, I'd be like, but I already have this one thing and it's so far ahead in development. And it's like, Flint has a perfectly competent moving system, an avatar, and all kinds of other things that were working just fine for it. I was like, I don't really know if I can start another project with this on the table. So at some point I was like, I'm just going to finish this. And I hope it sells well. Because, there's that common adage, if you build it, they will come. They didn't.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's not always what happens, unfortunately. Sometimes they don't come. I get that too. It's a bummer.
Yeah. I guess you can just keep doing it, keep experimenting. But sometimes it does feel like the algorithm is genuinely just trying to kick you in the shins.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Algorithms for everything. Yeah,
I feel like you have to get your do whatever I want card before you actually do whatever you want. But if you don't do whatever you want, then how are people going to find you unique,
Exactly. We won't build anything that lasts, but you also have to kind of play the generic mass appeal game to get a start at all. And it's all a mess, which sucks.
Yeah. But once you do get there, once you have a upsizable fan base, I guess Nitro Rad levels, then you really do get that Kojima card where you can do whatever you want.
I think I would agree. I don't even know what I guess it depends how big you're trying to get. I feel like for me, if there was 100 people who would always watch whatever I made, that's it. That's okay, now I can do whatever I want because these 100 people are always going to be there. But I think other people might be like, well, that's nice and all, but if I want this to be a job, it has to be 10,000 people, so there's just different levels.
I mean, if you have 100 people giving $5 in Patreon, I think you're set.
Oh yeah, I mean,
generally
if that
speaking.
happens, but I think most you have to you have to really appeal to a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a race, and I say you reach the finish line when you're like comfortable, when you feel like you can make a video just yapping and get like 10,000 views.
God, yeah, that.
I really think sometimes it's more who you know rather than what you know.
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. And even going back to my failed game dev stuff, I didn't know anybody. So, and that was really what killed it, is I just couldn't talk to people. I couldn't get in because no one knew me. And that's what you had. It's such like yeah, like you said, it's who you know. And that's a real shame.
Exactly. Yeah. I hate to sound presumptuous, but I feel like I know Flint is not a good game by many standards, but I feel like if someone with much more influence released it, it would probably be a cult classic.
Yeah, I feel like there might be some truth to that. Like, it would at least be talked about more. There would be, I guess, just mass numbers. There'll be more people saying good things and bad things, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I think about who was a YouTuber, not Markiplier.
Iron Lung. Oh, not
not him.
Lung?
I'm thinking about the movie Shelby Oaks from another movie YouTuber. That was a movie that was apparently kind of middling, not super good. I didn't see it, but the initial response was positive because it was all people who were a fan of I think Chris Stuckman.
Yeah.
I think it's Chris Stuckman is who made that.
Oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of Monsters We Make. I don't know if you heard of that.
I've not even heard of that. No.
Oh yeah, it's Corey Kenshin made a manga, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I looked at this review, and this guy was saying Monsters We Make is not a good anything. And then we looked into the story and stuff like that. And then he said something that really stuck out to me, and was like, if you look at the subreddit, it's mostly people talking about Corey Kenshin. I was like, oh, I know what that means.
I see.
So not to slide the guy or anything like that. I respect his work, but it's very clear this is a case of fans love what you make, not fans love your thing.
Yeah.
Because a sentence that really does anger me is when people will tell me, "Oh, you made a game." It's like, it has a name, and you would know if you played it.
Oh, that's true. It's like they don't actually know what you did, and that I think that exists on all levels of like creativity works. Yeah, where like people could go up to David Lynch, right, for example, and just be like, "I love Twin Peaks," but if you asked them what their favorite episode is, they would be like, I don't know."
The one with the red drapes.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, I would rather have a fan that doesn't like me than someone who does like me and pretends to like my stuff. The second sentence I hate the most is hearing, "Well, I couldn't do that." Yeah, well, thank you, Sherlock. I didn't know that. Person who has never made anything.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really help in matters.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. If they really tried, maybe they could. But who knows? Anyway.
Like if Leonardo da Vinci came back from the dead and said, "Hey man, I couldn't draw like you could," then I'd take that with some merit, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, there's just different levels to what people are able to do. Absolutely.
So you mentioned the workflow, and I didn't really get to answer that because I got distracted. But the workflow for New Flint was a little different. So I knew I had to get a story to it. I knew I had to change things around, and I did in subtle ways. That other plot I was talking about. Do you want a hint?
I guess maybe we should. Sure.
Okay.
What have I missed?
It's south.
All right. I will. Oh, I think I remember. Yeah, there's a big machine to destroy. Okay, I recall.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew I had to incorporate a story, so I changed a lot of things around, but I didn't want to lose much. I wanted to get as much bang for my buck as possible, and that has like permanent, like I guess, consequences. So like I mentioned Raphael and how he wasn't originally like an important character. He was just like another human in like your journey. And then I gave him importance. So a lot of recycling was done. The Slave Master has existed for a very long time. In fact, his boss fight was very much unchanged.
Interesting.
So my workflow was basically I would plot out what I wanted in QAnon notes. And I will get an example for that. Oh, not on this operating system. Yeah, it's on my other PC.
Yeah.
But it was basically notes that would be like, okay, here's this area. You go here then. So at that point, I'd already basically finished the story of Flint, and I just had to make it real. One of the biggest problems that I ran into was a map maker. So I had to make an in-engine map maker that would place objects and allow script nodes to be operated. When Flint starts, you notice how there's no loading screens or anything like that?
Yeah.
When a Flint save is started, the entire world is generated. All of it.
Interesting. Is it all like active and rendered at once, or?
I wouldn't say active and rendered at once, but it is. So Godot does this thing called noding, where it exists and the information is stored inside of it, but if it's not quite being rendered, but it does exist within your RAM.
Okay.
So right now, every texture, most textures or props that you'll see, and every single node, like, I don't know, active nodes or trigger nodes or things like that, they're active right now. But
Right.
what's keeping them from frying your system is the fact that, they're not checking for you because you're not on the right layer.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
So it's basically like a very big sandwich that's assembled at the start.
Okay, that's a very interesting way of doing things. Unity, which is what I have experience in, has like scenes that will be unloaded, and then you call upon them to become loaded when you want something from that scene, which led to a lot of problems that I'm sure smart people were able to figure out. In fact, I know smart people were able to figure out, because I think Hollow Knight was made not only entirely in Unity, but entirely with Playmaker, which is a bad visual scripting software. It's basically the proto Bolt before Bolt was like in-house and built in.
Oh god, yeah, that was a long time ago, ain't it? I'm surprised it was made in Visual Script.
Yeah, that's actually crazy that game was visual scripted.
Yeah, I have nothing against people who use Visual Script, but I very much understand that the less control you have, the less control you have.
Yeah, 100%. And like for me, I liked it, but if I knew I think for me, syntax was just the barrier to learning actual scripting. I couldn't memorize all the syntax, but I was able to understand the processes, the logic, I guess. So visual scripting was allowing me to just get right to the stuff I knew how to do without remembering where semicolons go.
I think you missed a switch.
Oh, right, on the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's totally fair. Syntaxing for me was something I dreaded, but after some time, I think you do get used to it.
Absolutely,
but,
it will.
But you don't necessarily memorize it. You more just like
you just kind of like feel it. Okay.
Yeah, you feel it. You're like, okay.
Kind of like playing the piano.
Yeah, like if I need, like you more just assemble an arrangement of. It's that terminal right there, I think.
Key.
You assemble an arrangement of solutions for problems. So if I wanted to count to 100, for example, and I needed something to trigger every 100 like iterations or something, I would use a for loop, or something like that. So just things like that you get used to over time. But I definitely think that coding has its. I think anyone can learn anything, but some people will enjoy it more than others.
Yeah, I also believe anybody can learn anything. But not only will some people enjoy it more, some people will have an easier time learning some things over learning other things.
Yeah, because it's probably just more compatible with their brain.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I have some friends who struggle a lot with math, but I mean, they could learn math, if they really dedicated themselves. I struggle a lot with like traditional drawing, traditional art. I could eventually learn it, but it would be a real struggle for me. I mean, yeah, I guess we've kind of hit all of the major points. We've been going for a very long time. This will probably be the longest episode. I'm sure I can cut some amount out of it, but...
Oh god, the rendering times.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's what computers for.
If you had any closing questions about like development or, any future projects.
Yeah, I think honestly that is the biggest thing. So Flint, of course, is available on Steam. I'll have a link in the description for anyone to buy. And I think you should. It is very cheap. It is $5. The other day, I bought a cup of coffee that was miso caramel flavor for $5, and that was dog shit. This is much better than that. You should buy this instead of miso flavored coffee. Don't make my mistake.
Exactly.
And apart from that, future projects, you are writing a book. Is there anything you can tell people about that? Anything about maybe when it's going to be available for them to see?
Well, I am doing an ACT test with yours truly very soon. I think the rest of the book will basically be a breeze. It really depends on how people feel about the readability of it. I don't think I'll take any suggestions to story changing.
Sure.
Like in any major way. Like, give them a limp. It'll make them more sympathetic.
Right. Yeah, that kind
but
of
I
stuff's
will take
locked
like
in.
notes about like prose, about like, hey, this is clunky to read, or there's too many adjectives.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll be like more confident to just finish the rest of the book. As for future projects, I do have one that I'm very excited about, and I'd like to announce it so that I have a time stamp to go back to when it's released. I am in the process of making another game, and it is called Pizza Crew. It is a, think RimWorld, but with pizza, and it's sort of mixed with, I don't know if anyone's played it, but Game Dev Tycoon.
Wow, that is a eclectic collection of inspirations.
Yeah, the RimWorld part comes in that, you have a assortment of people that you study, and you look at their skills and whatnot, and, arrange them in optimal ways. But I think a lot of people like Pizza Crew. I don't know when a demo will be available. It's not even, in project stages, but I am writing a game design document. And after that's finished, I will begin developing it. And a demo will come out on itch.io sometime maybe this year or next year. And then I'll put it on Steam Next Fest.
And
after that
really
point,
exciting.
We're looking for, after that point, depending on reception, we'll invest a little more into it and maybe hire some artists to make it all shiny and whatnot. I know Flint suffered a lot for its, if you can even call it an art style.
I mean, I think it's pretty consistent. So.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Gotcha.
All of the game.
Okay.
That player model you're using right now is the same model for 2020. So we had to make everything consistent with that.
I see, and that bred some. Yeah, I can see it.
And that was a huge limitation to like changing the gameplay art style to be like something more appealing or something more shadery. And with the way that the tiles are rendered, you can't really. I had to bend over backwards to make shading even possible in the first place.
Oh man,
because you'll notice that there's shadows when like a big light comes on, something like that. But anyways, Pizza Crew will be a lot more composed, so I'm looking forward to that. And I will definitely have Marcus. I think that's pronounced Barretta.
Yep, that's it. It is. It's
yes,
theoretically Italian, but that was so long ago. There's nothing left but a white trash in me now. So,
well, I mean, my last name is White, and my last name is Wright, and I'm not even white. So, you pick what you can.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, so I think that's everything I can say about future projects. And as for the book, we're looking at a December release, but it really depends on feedback and my own personal consistency because I'm making it for free for myself.
Sure.
So
yeah,
it'll just be plopped onto the internet with some marketing, but I'm not really expecting anything from it. I think that takes a lot of pressure off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then you don't have so much riding on it. So yeah, I get that 100%. So yeah, I guess I guess that's it then. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this video, coming along with me for this creatively casual conversation with an actual successful indie dev who made a product that's awesome and is writing a book, a storyteller. It sounds like a writer by nature. And thank you for joining me for this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. It's more than a pleasure. I mean, I don't really talk about this with my friends because I'm always nervous, and if they see it a certain way, they'll be like, "Oh, I definitely liked your story that I didn't read."
Right.
So I have someone right here who played the game and somehow enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I did, and
it's
maybe I'm just an easy person to please. I guess that's true, but I feel like there's always good things in people who give stuff like a genuine try. Will make something that's pretty good. I think.
Yeah. If it's good to them, it's probably good to someone else. Unless they're just blinded by their own ego.
Yeah, 100%.
And like I said, people tend to get lost in their own story to the point where they understand the context, but nobody else really would. So it's a whole thing. But I think you should definitely get in that Resident Evil style combat oriented game. If you ever find yourself with a surplus of money, at the very least, write a game design document.
Absolutely,
so in the future you can come back to it and be like, okay, I can make this now.
Yep, that is always step one.
As much as I talk badly about Flint, I do not regret finishing it.
Yeah, I think it always feels nice to bring something to completion. So
yeah, and now I can move on to other projects. So
absolutely,
yeah. Thank you for the interview, Marcus, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Absolutely. Have a good day, everyone.